Now, tonight, we're going to take a look at some of the biggest disappointments in gaming and their big screen adaptations. We also have several major game announcements to cover as we are entering peak video game season, and even more exciting things to come as we announce a new series on the channel. All this and more on tonight's episode of the show. Hey everybody, my name is Ben, and welcome back to the 10th episode of the Always Gametime Podcast, also our Season 1 finale. Woo! We did it, Ryan.
Please
how
clap.
Does it feel? Yes, everyone.
Please clap. We did it, right? We set out a goal. We said we were going to do it. We questioned it a couple times, but I'm so happy we finished it, Ben. We are at this finish line, this checkpoint, not finish line, this checkpoint, right?
Yep.
We got so much good stuff to announce tonight, and I'm excited to get to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So stay tuned to the end of the stream. We'll be announcing kind of what this transition will look like for us and some cool things to come for the channel as well.
And one thing to note, I might sound like I'm, trying to do a super sexy voice right here, but it's just allergies. I'm just going through some things. I literally didn't talk all day, saving my voice, this pure, deep voice for you guys tonight. So
maybe they'll like it better and they'll want you to always talk like this.
And then I'm really going to have problems. Yeah.
All right. So thank you guys for bearing with us. Ryan's okay. We hope. All right. Next. So this week we're going to hop into some really cool things that are happening in the gaming scene. There's actually a lot of updates that I wanted to talk about in particular. One that I know Ryan is going to go crazy for is this probably the biggest update to Apex Legends, which is coming out on May 4th, which they're calling Legacy. It's not like a season number anymore. It's Legacy. And coming with that update is going to be a arena mode, which is an entire new permanent game mode that they're adding, which will be a lot different from the normal lobbies. It features a 3v3 competitive shooter type feel to it. And we're also seeing a brand new legend coming to the game, Valkyrie, who has some really cool lore tied back into Titanfall 2 and an incredible looking set of abilities that I'm super excited to try out pretty soon.
Oh, yeah. A bunch of people already saying OP for Valkyrie, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But obviously, the big news here is the arena mode, right? We're thinking something like Valorant, where they have a cash system within it, so you can purchase weapons. And I'm not sure if it's 3v3 death-wise, but there's a lot of interesting things they're doing with it, and it's going to be very fast-paced, right? It's 3 versus 3, so 2 teams. No third, parties coming in to ruin your day like classic Apex fashion. So I'm pumped. I mean, Apex does a really good job. Yes. Oh, yeah. I mean, the maps are tiny and unique. So I'm hoping that it goes well. And then next season, or hopefully less, they introduce a ranked mode like a ranked portion for that mode.
Oh yeah, you'd love to see it. And it's honestly coming at a great time for Apex. Apex is one of those BRs that's kind of broken the code. It's never really had that sharp fall off that we see with a lot of new games in that genre.
Yeah.
It's just always sustaining itself. So you love to see updates like this one coming.
For sure.
All right, and in other news of updates and games we're excited for, the PlayStation State of Play happened this week on Thursday. I think it was the shortest State of Play that I've certainly ever seen, mostly featuring new gameplay from Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, which, if you guys don't know, Ratchet & Clank is another one of those games I grew up with and absolutely love. I 100%ed the most recent remaster. And aside from, this new game, which I think looked incredible, they also teased and let us know that Among Us, which we've talked about so many times on the podcast, is going to be coming to the PlayStation consoles later this year. So I don't know how I feel about that.
Both.
I mean, yeah.
PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 4 and 5. Yeah, that was news to me. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it definitely is cool, and I'm happy that there'll be more ways to play. But the thing with Among Us is if you don't have a friends group that's kind of entering in, I feel like it loses a lot of its charm. So I'll be interested to see how that acts on console.
100% needs to be a PlayStation Game of the Month or whatever, where they give it away for being part of the network, right? I mean, just like that's how Rocket League took off, right? I mean, they do that with Among Us. Among Us could really have a resurgence again on PlayStation.
And I wonder how that'll work too with crossplay. So probably more updates to come on that.
Yeah. I'm not aware if there's any crossplay for it.
Yeah. And then last thing in the state of play, which was announced, was Subnautica Below Zero is coming to the PS5 on May 14th, which has obviously been out for a long time now on PC, but highly suggest if you guys were a fan of this franchise to check it out. A lot of the time when I load up games on my PS5, this isn't sponsored, but they run really well, like really,
Yes.
really well compared to what I would expect for a console. So you guys would probably enjoy this experience.
For sure. Any survival lover out there, right? That's definitely worth a play. It's a lot of fun.
Yep. All right, so I kind of want to see Ryan's reaction to this one today, because when I read this article, shout out to PC Gamer, this is where I found this one. Apparently, you can now pay money to get esports certifications to prove how much of a pro gamer you are. Absolutely wild. I can't believe it.
So, I mean, I did read the article. I found it like at the end of the article, they talked to a couple other CEOs of major orgs that had issues with it. Obviously, it's like, how do we know that this test is legitimate? I don't have those concerns. Those are very basic concerns. My concern is, isn't this a barrier to entry for someone that wants to get in the e-game, esports field? So it's already a high cost to get into this field, to get into esports. It takes a lot of money, for one. A lot of misfortunate kids that don't have a rich families, they have to go and work, so they're not able to put, the time and money or even to get access to play the game. And now you're going to add another $400 in front of that. And I know this isn't the players particularly, but it still trickles down to everyone, right? So that's my feeling on it. Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, and it's actually a really unique perspective on it I hadn't considered, that people that are already struggling to maybe break into this field or try to prove themselves somehow, well, now you're putting something that could potentially help people gain that access behind a paywall. So now it's a little bit even harder if you're someone that's trying to become a legitimate esports contender. So I mostly kind of chuckled when I saw this and thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
Obviously, being someone who loves games and esports, I was like, this is so crazy. Because I also recently, with my own career, had to learn about professionalism and resumes and how to like make myself seem like the best candidate for a job possible. So the fact that people are now doing this for esports is just really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're trying to look more legitimate, right? Like they think the industries aren't taking them serious, right? It sounds like not a cry for help, but it's like, hey, we're big and tough too. Respect us, kind of thing. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's me looking at it wrong. But
so
let us know what you think. Yeah, in the comments in the chat.
Yep, time to put in the gaming hours grinding, trying to work towards that professional spot. And the gaming industry might be on the rise right now and seeing new things like this pop up, but game developers are struggling really hard as some new surveys have come out this year that have basically released to the public that game devs are working more than 40 hours a week, almost across the board. Like it's an insanely high percentage, and 44% of game devs, it's kind of a generic group here, but say that the pandemic has caused serious delays on their projects. And so, Ryan and I like to talk about games and issues with games launching and delays on this podcast, because we play these, and as a consumer, we kind of feel entitled to receiving a good product, as we should. But this new look at things and this insight has kind of awoken this part of me that is very sympathetic to these developers who maybe have announced things, a long time ago before these circumstances were present, and now are dealing with the community backlash of not enough workers. Workers are already too, spread thin as it is, and games that are being rushed and pressured to release that might not be completely ready yet. And so it's just, you hate to see it. And it's something that I wanted to bring to attention, because I think a lot of the time, people are like angry, and it's like, well, like, think about it. Like, don't be so quick to grab the pitchforks and the torches, and really think about how this whole world circumstance is affecting everyone.
For sure. In full disclaimer, Ben and I are both developers ourselves. I mean, sure, not in games, but still, I think for me, I come off as sympathetic, right? I know a couple others in the chat are very sympathetic to this as well. Timelines, as a developer, you have to make a timeline without all the information, right? So when people are shocked that that timeline isn't accurate, it's kind of offensive sometimes, right? They don't understand how hard the work is. So, yes, I mean, game devs were working more than 40 hours a week way before the pandemic, and I'm sure that it's way up after,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And the worst
absolutely.
part is their pay isn't based on hours worked either, right? It's based on a job
Yeah.
done. So they're the ones that get screwed more than anyone else.
Yeah, you have this balance of people that maybe are exerting themselves too much, but they love what they're doing and can take
Mm.
credit for the project as well. So I think like to some people it seems probably worth it, and to others they're probably like, man, this project won't end. You know, it probably
Oh
depends
yeah.
on the game, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And the company you're working for,
For sure.
if you're a contractor or not, right? I know a lot of them are. Right. That whole uh work, what do you want to say, group of workers needs a big change, and they should come together and figure that out.
Yeah, for sure. It'd be cool to see, because I mean it's only going to help, right? And if you're a gamer and
Mhm,
you love these products, then obviously you want this process to be streamlined so that you get more games, better games, those kinds of things. But
mhm.
and you know, another hit maybe, and to kind of to fight back on this like trend we're seeing with game developers, Microsoft recently took notes from Epic's kind of corner and has cut their fee to developers down to 12%. We still see, even in Valve, a 30% developer fee to have games
That's
like
nuts.
hosted on their platform and supported there. And so Microsoft, up until just recently, was also very high and has decided, you know what? This is all about gamers and the games and the people that make them, and they've cut their fee. Now, there's probably a lot of underlying reasons for this as well
Yeah,
that
I
aren't
mean, don't.
as happy-go-lucky. Like, you know, Microsoft
Yeah,
is Microsoft. I don't want to paint the picture
exactly.
that we're keeping a blind eye to them.
This is a
It's good news though.
this is a financial move for them. This isn't, oh, good news for the gamers. No, this is them trying to get more of the market. They thought this would make them more money.
Yeah,
Like taking in less money would make them more money. I mean, it's a common tactic. I think it's a good one. I think it focuses. I mean, if Valve had, Valve's prices are too high. And this will get them to bring it down. And if they're not set up correctly, like, and if they're not ready to make that, it's over a 50% drop in revenue. It could be, we could actually see someone else really lead in the market, which is kind of crazy to think about
yeah,
in
no,
terms of where we buy our games and stuff.
I completely agree. Well, and then from a
Mm,
development standpoint, where you want to post your games to, I mean, completely valid remark.
mhm.
Obviously, they're not going to come out and say, "Hey, we did this cool thing for game devs," but it's because we want more money.
Yeah,
But it, and you know, in the spirit of this is kind of a neat thing. You know, I'm sure everyone's really happy to see this move and adjustment as well. So
yeah. I mean, ideally, we should see lower prices, but
yeah.
that's maybe fantasy land a little bit.
No, be shocked if the prices go up, but now we're like, wait, what?
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't be shocked.
But yeah, and then one last little thing I wanted to hit on here, guys. There is a new battle royale. I know if you guys weren't sick of them enough yet, there is a brand new BR game called Scavengers, which is out now in early access with a catch. It's doing something cool that we've seen before, where it is linking up with Twitch, and in order to actually gain access to the early access, you have to watch streamers that are playing the game for precisely 30 minutes. When you've watched a streamer that has drops for this game for 30 minutes, you get a key, you can redeem it in the Epic Games Store, and then you can join in the fun. And to be completely honest with you guys, I checked it out last night for a couple hours on stream. The game is awesome. Does not play like a traditional battle royale at all. There's respawn mechanics, there's PvE involved. You can kill a ton of people in the game, but there's a currency in the game that you get for doing challenges called credits. And at the end of the day, whoever makes it on the extraction ship with the most credits is the winner. So you see like this really cool balance of, you know, strategy and PvP elements, and you can be in 12th place and all of a sudden get right back up to the top. And it's a really fun time. And bonus, if you
This,
guys are here live tonight, if you still need a key, we'll be taking another look at this
oh,
tonight on stream for about an hour after the podcast.
nice.
So be sure to stay tuned.
Nice, nice. This sounds like League of Legends or any MOBA in battle royale format. I mean, am I wrong in that? Right,
It's
where
kind of,
you have the
yeah.
PVE, you're leveling up and things, and
It's
whoever
very
gets the highest.
is very similar in the terms of you have a map with marked events, you've complete the events for your credits, and then some team could stroll along and kill you all and take that for their own. The one thing I do like is as long as one of you people, like the people in your squad, is alive, if you get killed, you have a 1 minute respawn timer before you come back,
Oh,
and you get to keep your guns and your abilities and all this other stuff. So it's kind of just like a setback more than a permadeath. However,
interesting.
if you all die, you're out. That's just it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's cool though. It's
interesting.
definitely
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. No, definitely worth the look. I mean, it's free. It's the price is right, as we say.
Yep.
Go check it out.
Now, I know we've been a little critical. We're trying to fight back for game developers everywhere and games themselves tonight, but we're gonna kind of flip the script here a little bit and get into some of the biggest just disappointments in gaming that we've both experienced personally firsthand, as well as heard about everyone's awful experiences with these. We like to give credit where credit's due, and we try to give games every last chance to make it work and to just show us something that we enjoy. But these next couple of experiences, guys, man, when I tell you they've ruined games for me, well, let's just get into it. I'll kick us off
Yeah, yeah.
here. The first thing that was probably the biggest disappointment to me and is still ongoing, a little game called Minecraft Dungeons. It has a huge issue. It was widely popular around release. There's still tons of people that play this game. Even myself, this is a dungeon crawler where you have to like go through levels and earn good loot, and you run things over and over again. The game is a grind, but people loved it, and I was one of them until
Yeah.
my computer just completely broke, and I had to send it away to get fixed and replaced. And in order to do that, they had to wipe the hard drive. Now, normally in console gaming specifically and other PC titles, you have a nice little feature called cloud saves, where all of your data isn't stored just locally on a file where it can just be destroyed. And the only way to back up save files on like your machine, let's say you wanted to play on a different computer or bring it to a friend's house, is to literally like drag and drop your file and put it in like a file location folder and put it on like a USB stick or Google Drive or something. And so I had probably put, I mean, I don't have a number for it, maybe 60 hours into Minecraft Dungeons, we'll say. And
Yeah.
all of that progress was completely wiped in an instant. And it just really made me realize, wow, I hate this and I'm never going to play it
Yeah.
again. And I was not the only one. Like, I did lots of research. Apparently, cloud saves are still in the works. They have not come out with this yet, as far as I know, even though they're doing cross progression now on console and they're working on stuff for PC. I don't know
Been
how they
talking
don't
about that for how
prioritize
long?
this. Yeah, it's been
Yeah,
out for
yeah,
so
yeah.
long.
Yeah. Oh man,
So.
that's a heartbreak. Like losing any character, or like all I can think about is like I've lost a Madden franchise or whatever that's 10 years in, right? And when that's gone, yes, you might as well just go outside and break the game disc because you're
Yep.
never going to touch that again. Like,
Never.
it just yeah. Yep. Oh, that's just horrible. I mean, there's one thing worse. At least you got the good hours out of the game, right?
Yeah.
So we I don't know what year this was, but I go to Taco Bell, not sponsored, can be, but, and I get two Crunch Wraps again. And I go over to my buddy Bones' house, and we're all set up. Two TVs, two PlayStations. We're playing No Man's Sky initial release. And we took the whole day off. We're all pumped. We had a little bit of beer there too. And I don't know if anyone else remembers that release, but that's basically when we found out that everything was a lie. Everything was crap. I mean, the game was so simple. You figured out what the whole game cycle was going to be in about the first 2 hours tops. And yeah, I mean, that was probably one of the most disappointing days of my gaming career. And I did recover because obviously I love the game now. But at that point, I mean, ever since then, even Bones and I, we're very, very hesitant to pre-order any game
Yep.
since then because it's nothing but lies from these production companies. So let me know how you feel about that. If a game has burned you like that and made you question all of gaming, right? That's definitely one of them.
Yeah, and we have a few more lists on our list that are according to a very similar theme. So,
Yeah.
this one wasn't so much a launch issue for me, but if you guys have been around for any time at all, you know that the most recent Modern Warfare game that has come out for the Call of Duty franchise is my favorite Call of Duty of all time, which is a big statement. I don't make that statement lightly because I've played all of them at different points in my life. However, I had decided when this game came out that I was going to grind and I was going to level up all the guns to max level. I was going to get all the weapon camos, which if you guys play the game, you know how much work that is.
Yeah.
And I had actually been playing the game so much that I had almost gotten 100% of that season's multiplayer challenges completed. And if around this time, my Twitter was blowing up because there was a bug in the game which affected your progress for these challenges, for the weapons, for the multiplayer, to where you could do it, and some of these are super hard to do, and you could do that challenge and it would not give you credit for it. And it was like this for at least a month on end, and
Easily,
you never knew which challenge was going to be bugged and then just randomly decide to work. And so it just completely de-incentivized me working on these challenges in multiplayer, because what's the point? I could try
Yeah.
for 3 hours to do this really hard thing and do it and then not receive the credit and never get that challenge completed. And I remember being so devastated in that season of my life because I was doing a lot of them and I was really close, and then just to have it kind of that opportunity taken away and be like, oh well, what was all that work for? I don't know if any of you
Yeah.
guys play Call of Duty Modern Warfare or also experienced this, but this was a really hot topic item and was in the game for a long time around release. A lot of people
Hmm.
were not happy with this. Since then it's obviously been fixed, but
But obviously, it's too late, right?
yeah.
Because they've released one, two other games. I mean, if you're counting Warzone updates and things like that, even more.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's devastating. That's really harsh. Have you played it since? Like since
uh
it's been fixed?
no, but I think it's
Yeah.
less related to maybe this issue and because Warzone came out and I loved Warzone so
Yeah.
much. But you're
We did.
completely
Yeah.
right. At the second that I learned I wasn't going to be able to grind the same way, I mean, my play rate dropped drastically. It's like, what's the point? I can't, like,
Yeah.
multiplayer's like the thing keeping me there was the challenges. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
For sure.
it's
For
just,
sure. Yeah. Oh man. So my next one is before No Man's Sky, right? And you would think I would have learned my lesson from this game. So we're talking around 2008, 2009, and there was so much hype around this game as well. So it's a game from the creators of SimCity and like all those Simish games, and it's a game called Spore. And this game was extremely hyped up. And I mean, being an EA game, I shouldn't have got my hopes up. But still, besides the point. So if you're unfamiliar with Spore, basically you start as a single cell organism and then you evolve all the way until you're going from planet to planet to planet and taking over all this things. The one big selling point was that you could create any character any way, which was kind of a lie. Basically, you could make a funny three-legged thing or four-legged thing, but the game just sucked, just putting it bluntly. And I've never been so disappointed because I literally bought 4 copies of this game and gave it to each person in the house that I was with in college, and we sat there and played it, and we're like, oh, the best parts like the beginning, which the game was basically 5 mini games wrapped into one. Ben, you ever hear of Spore or play it?
yeah, it's definitely a little bit before my time. I've heard of it all my life, never seen gameplay or
Yeah.
references to it, so I was interested to see this on the list this week.
Yeah, yep. So that's what I got. It I already hated EA before that, but now even more so.
Just ruined
Just
forever.
can't trust them.
Yeah. This next one's a doozy. And if I say the words Assassin's Creed, I feel like people already know where I'm going to go with this one. But one of probably, I mean, the worst gaming launches that we could ever talk about on the show was with Assassin's Creed Unity. And man, when you talk about launch issues, this game was the definition of that phrase. It had horrible response from the community, horrible performance, these awful visual glitches with the game that would completely be game breaking. And this was a game that they had already proclaimed like many times through social media to the fan base that was being rushed. And when people obviously were horribly upset, Ubisoft actually started offering other games for free to try to like kind of appease the masses, and they never like offered good explanations. They were just like, yeah, game's bad. And like they tried. The situation gets so much worse, and I'm not going to do a deep dive, but do yourself a favor, look up the history of this game. The craziest thing that when I was researching this, found out was they were once questioned whether playable women characters were going to be a part of the creative discussion, because they weren't at the time for the multiplayer. And the creative director said that we planned on it, but the extra resources and time spent developing them made it prohibitive, not worth it, basically. And first off, you're like, wait, what? So putting women into your game and like this diversity and inclusion isn't important to you guys? Like, that's kind of shocking that they said that.
Yeah.
But later, someone who was a former game dev on Assassin's Creed 3 said that it would take 1 or 2 days to include women in multiplayer, and like debunked that entire so it just was not a good look. And they have still, in my opinion, never really recovered from that. I mean, obviously Valhalla came out and was kind of a huge success for the Assassin's Creed franchise, but this blunder
was too.
Yeah, is just a huge stain in the Assassin's Creed franchise. Now, I've never played it personally, and I'm kind of interested to go see how it is today. See if they ever got around to fixing the mess that it was at launch.
See, I got burned on Assassin's Creed 2. I used to be a big trophy hunter at that time, and I played through it 3 times, and it locked up 3 times to the point where you couldn't reload the save file or anything. It just was done, and you had to start it over. So I didn't touch another Assassin's Creed game until Odyssey.
Yeah.
I mean, as much credit as those Assassin's Creed games get, they're kind of terrible in the same sense, like you're saying, right? I mean, they're kind of a failure. I mean, what could have been more than what actually is, right?
Yeah, and this is just I'm almost over talking about it, to be completely honest. Why don't we just move on to the next one?
All right, so I have yet another EA game, one that I was watching really closely. Let me know if you can guess it. So I was watching it, and I was a little hesitant about a pre-order, so I'm watching it really closely. And then, it starts to get delayed, which is kind of a red flag, right? And then they change up devs working on it. They change up who's writing the overarching story. And really, it's just more and more getting pushed down. The game's Anthem, right? In the end, I didn't end up getting it. And I'm sure their sales were half of what they expected them to be. And now it seems like EA is going to abandon the game altogether. No matter what they say, that's really what the signs are looking like, because they're kind of taking resources off of Anthem and moving them elsewhere. Ben, did you have any interest in Anthem?
Yeah, and probably a couple of years after launch, I have close friends who went back in when it was like on super sale and tried it out after all these updates. And I think the game had a somewhat decent comeback in this time they ran the sale. Good. Which was, good to see. But at the same time, I remember all the hype for this game. I remember seeing the trailers, everyone thinking it's going to be like the next Destiny. And it's just another one of those things where we were kind of lied to about performance and content.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. But they had to go through all they needed to do was push it out longer because of the turnover they had. But that's hypothetical as well. One of the honorable mentions I wanted to bring up was Marvel's Avengers, right? I'm wearing a freaking Marvel or Avengers hat right now, and that game was just so disappointing.
Mm-hmm. I was disappointed with that as well. We can't also not mention Star Wars Battlefront 2, another EA horrible, like, in-game currency, microtransaction nightmare for gamers everywhere. Just hated that, and, they tried to remedy it, but it's a stain that people just don't forget easily.
No, yep. Another one I played day one was Days Gone, right? It was a fun game initially, but it felt like the core, like the middle tiny pieces weren't there. It gets lots of praise now, and people were upset that they're not going to make a sequel, but on release, a lot of people didn't like it, and I was one of them.
Yeah, and then we've talked about...
big one.
Yeah.
The big one.
This game has... You'd think they'd pay us, except we only ever say bad things.
Yeah, yeah.
Cyberpunk has to make the list of biggest disappointments in gaming. If you guys have missed our kind of longer talks about this, please go back to the episodes of the podcast where we've referenced this title.
That's episode 1, isn't it?
I think it's early on and more
Full
frequently
circle.
as we go.
Yeah.
What can we even say? Cyberpunk.
Yeah, no, yeah. Everyone knows. Yeah, if we start saying good things about Cyberpunk, that's when you know we're sponsored.
Yeah, we're getting paid, exactly. Oh my goodness.
So speaking of bringing things all the way around, I wanted to talk to you, Ben, about the meta in streaming right now. So if I can get this right, the meta in streaming right now is hot tubs, writing usernames on your body,
Oh yeah.
running subathons where you're literally streaming for weeks on end.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you consider escalation, I want you to play fortune teller and tell me what's the end game here? What's going to happen? Does one Twitch streamer take it too far? Like, do numbers start to drop for a variety of reasons? I mean, there's a lot of things from parents not wanting their kids to watch to I don't know. I mean, there's a lot that could happen. Ben, what kind of ideas do you have?
Yeah, so Twitch is a very interesting place, and some people would probably argue that several of these streamers have already taken these fads and these trends too far. But all good things, like we know, there'll be an end to these trends that we're seeing to make space for new and upcoming ways that streamers engage with their audiences. It's always like that with the internet, and honestly, like with pop culture, you'll always see like these like cool things that like one person does and then a couple people try to emulate that on their streams, and then we have the situation where late night just chatting is all hot tub streams on the website. And so while I certainly think that those were really big pieces of kind of the Twitch history in development, these things never typically, I mean, they might boost someone's publicity on the site, but they never tend to stick around long. And so a couple things, though, that I've been noticing that are newer trends that are starting to maybe going to become into these larger fads or maybe push out viewers that are in those streams and into new streams. One thing that you and I have talked about offline a lot is the use of tools like Trigger Fire, which is a tool that allows basically your chat and your audience to alter what's happening on your stream remotely. Super awesome. Like, this is so many applications to this. I mean, people are just kind of barely scratching the surface with this functionality from what I've seen in people's streams. But it's awesome. I mean, you can have your chat change the scene. You can have your chat make a source appear that has like a funny filter for your face. I mean, there's all sorts of things that people are looking to implement on their streams with tools like this one. Another trend that we've started seeing is unique camera shapes on stream. Kind of a shout out to you, Ryan. Your new camera shape that I've seen you kind of toying around with is really cool and unique. And it's nice to just get away from, green screen or box or rectangle like wide angle lens, right? And people are making star shapes. I've seen even on Twitch a lot of circles and kind of oblong things. But some of the creators that I really love on the platform are taking this to even new levels where it's not really a shape you can define, but it also integrates with the game behind it. Which I think is super cool. So people are really, you can tell, these streamers are really looking for new ways to like catch people's eye and get them committed to what's going on with their stream.
Creativity is at an all-time high on Twitch. I mean, there's no doubt about it, for sure. But I still don't think we're getting to the core of, I mean, we're talking about big money spending on Twitch, right? Yeah. Twitch came out with an article today saying, sure, they're looking at the hot tub meta, as what it's called now. They're looking at it very closely, but they've banned everyone that's offended the terms of service, which is very few people. I mean, a few people have had wardrobe malfunctions, right? And they've been banned for such incidents. But for the most part, it sounds like Twitch is just going to sit there and cash the checks, and things like this are going to change. And remember, the same concerns we had when we talked about this before is I ultimately think this is going to push traffic away from Twitch, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to hurt them in the long run. All they see are these big fat checks right now. And, maybe the smaller guys are the one that end up holding the bag in the end. I'm not sure.
Well, and I think another element too to consider with this, talking about what the current meta is and maybe the issues that come alongside with that, people on this platform are very competitive, which makes
Yeah.
sense. And they're always trying to one up each other. So if you have a trend where someone's in a hot tub and wearing a bikini, well, what's like the next logical step that someone can one up that with, right? And so that's going to lead to issues for the streamers themselves, who are kind of desperate to gain this attention on the site, but also create more problems for Twitch in having to address these issues and refine their rules and figure out as a company how they want to steer their ship in terms of moving forward. And so, not that there's anything inherently wrong with what's going on now, but
no,
we will see extreme examples of every new fad on Twitch. It always happens. We see extreme character streamers. We see extremely long subathons. As of recently, we see all these extremes that really get a lot of attention and publicity quick because they're not the norm and they might be a little uncharacteristic of Twitch. So, yeah.
Do you think Twitch should do something about the subathons? And I mean, in my opinion, they're got to be extremely unhealthy on the streamer, no matter what. I know Facebook used to, if they still don't, have an 8-hour limit on a stream.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Twitch needs to go to something like that?
I believe the limit currently is 48 hours of concurrent streaming is the limit. They're actually, and you guys can fact check this and correct me if I'm wrong, I totally welcome it, but something that I've been told for the longest time is that it actually used to be 72 hours was like the safety limit, and there was actually a streamer who passed away who wasn't sleeping and going on this crazy long stream. And so since then they cracked down, they reformed this whole thing. And I think it's about your intention. Some streamers that do the subathons like Ludwig, who I was kind of alluding to before, had mods in place and was obviously getting sleep and doing these other practices to ensure that they weren't violating like terms of service or anything. But I mean, how much can you control the internet? I don't want to, I like Twitch. I like what I can do on the site, but at the same time, I kind of feel for him. It's hard to control.
I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you that there's teams with Ludwig, right? It wasn't just him, right? He has a team of 5, probably 10 people helping him do this. Yeah, I don't know. I'm conflicted because obviously I don't want set controls on how long you can stream in a day and things like that. But I also understand, right?
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot of young people. I mean, you can stream at 16 on here, can't you? So, I mean, there's a lot of young people think that, hey, I see this guy going for a week. Why don't I go as long as I can and see what happens, right?
Especially in the competitive
extremely
environment.
Extremely unhealthy.
And already, there's a lot of talk we could probably do in the future about gaming and health directly being related to each other and things like that. One other thing I wanted to call out that is a new trend on the rise that we love to see is a lot more collaboration on streams that goes beyond just playing games with other streamers. We're talking multicam views and productions not dissimilar from our own, which are on the rise. And I think that's really cool to see because behind every streamer, there's like a creative who's looking for ways to express themselves and continue to expand and grow what they do. And I think that this is really going to open up a lot of things that weren't necessarily possible before and kind of change what people are used to seeing on Twitch. And it's going to continue to drive up that competition where we're all pushing ourselves to be as creative as possible with the things that we want to produce. And so it's just really cool to see. It makes me happy that we're seeing more of it too.
Yeah. One other prediction I kind of want to make is call-in shows, I think, are going to be another big thing here.
Yeah. Which are going to be
really soon.
Yeah.
Yep. That's going to be interesting and fun to watch. I watch a couple. Lyle Forever's one big one that I like. You guys should check out. I think those are going to be even bigger coming soon. But yes, we are pushing time. Let's get into the next one. You ready?
Yeah. Oh, I'm ready.
All right. So best and worst gaming adaptations, right? I'm going to start it off here. We're going to start with the good for once, right? That's rare from me usually. Anyway, the best, it was a tough one, but I'm going to go with Sonic the Hedgehog 2020. I think these game to movies, they've been getting it right now, right? They've been going and paying big money to actual actors, voice actors, and trying to come up with a script that's actually legitimate and can stand on its own and not having to really play with the game's script too much. So Sonic the Hedgehog I thought was very good. I can't think of the names in it right now off the top of my head. I meant to write that down. Ben, have you seen the movie and what'd you think?
I have, yeah. Cass and I, my wife, and I enjoyed the film. And talk about something that at the start of things looked rough. I mean, there was the community outlash towards the way Sonic looked originally, so they delayed the film, reworked it, and then there was a pretty positive response, I think. But yeah, I mean, I've always loved Sonic games growing up, and I thought this was just like a fun, silly movie with the character feature. So it was good.
Yeah. Obviously, we had Jim Carrey. Ben Schwartz was the voice of Sonic. Yeah. He is very good in whatever he does. He's kind of a all over the place actor right now, but he'll be a big deal. And obviously, the big name was James Marsden as well, who did a good job.
Yeah. So I did not start on the bright side of things this week. I wanted to talk about what I thought was one of the worst gaming adaptations in film, and I have some hot takes here tonight, probably, but I wanted to talk about Mortal Kombat Annihilation, which I believe was the sequel to the like original Mortal Kombat movies back in the day, 1997. And it's so interesting to think about too, because we just had the new Mortal Kombat come out, which I've also seen, and just this original, I know it was old, okay guys, I'm sorry, like I was one when this movie came out, but it goes beyond that. Like there are actual movie critics who have assessed this film and have come out and said that like the action is okay, but there's like no plot, shallow characters, bad acting, low budget special effects, like and you know, it also, if you guys are someone that kind of views Rotten Tomatoes as like your holy grail or like truth towards movies like being good or not, 2% on Rotten Tomatoes. So before you say anything, I'm not the only one that thinks this was bad, and I have seen it like a long time ago, but I have seen it, and I will say the new movie, obviously updated graphics and things like that, still no real plot. I mean, the fight scenes are pretty good in the new one, I would say, but if you're watching Mortal Kombat for like the lore, you might get a little disappointed. That's all I'll say.
Are you saying the new one?
Yeah, even the new one.
But I heard the new one's really slow towards the plot, right?
It's slow in the fact that it might not ever get
not
there.
even be there.
Well, and the other thing is too,
they're already signed on for 3 more or 2 more.
I didn't want to spoil it. I didn't know if that was public information. Yeah. They leave it open, so obviously this is kind of like an introductory film, but watch it for yourself. You decide. Yeah. In my opinion, of all the gaming adaptations we've seen in film and TV and movies, Annihilation was probably one of the worst applications of it, because we go from a game where we have all this outlandish stuff, but maybe it was a case of like the time period not being able to support as ambitious as the film was. Not good.
Not to one up you, but Super Mario Brothers 1993 was god awful.
I've only seen the cover.
Oh my god, like literally they took Yoshi and made him the scariest looking thing you could ever imagine. You're expecting it just to screech and say "kill me" like at the end of it. It's just an all out horrible movie. Yeah. But anyway, I'm gonna go to what my actual pick is here, and Lara Croft, Tomb Raider. I mean, this movie had all the hype. They went and got a big name, Angelina Jolie, and then the movie. I mean, it was just blah. I mean, I remember being pumped to go and watch it, and now I don't remember a thing about it. I'm sure Angelina was great, so please forgive me, Angelina. You call me later, it's fine. But did you ever sit down and watch this one, Ben?
Yeah, but I saw them, and they were popular hits in our household growing up, and really? I'd say the same thing. I mean, I remember as a child watching these thinking that the action was like not great, and some of the acting was not great, and so admittedly, I haven't seen it in a very long time, but I completely sympathize and agree with the fact that compared to what we've seen more modernly with Lara Croft and some of the new gaming titles we've had, I just feel like there was so much more story and development they could have done there. I don't know. What do I know?
Yeah, so, I mean, there's so much good story there to use, and they just didn't, they couldn't do it. They didn't do it, right? So Ben, tell me your best one, because I'm reading it on the script right now, and I'm very interested in what you have to say on this. How you can defend this?
Well, I told you guys I had a lot of hot takes for you tonight, and on my best, I use the word best loosely, right? Okay, because I also have another one in my honorable mentions that was close, but I wanted to talk about Warcraft from 2016. Now, listen, before anyone yells at me, I do not play World of Warcraft.
Warcraft, chat.
Yeah, so I know that my perspective is going to be a little maybe not credible here, but if nothing else, I thought it was a coherent film with a very similar vibe to what you would think of like Lord of the Rings and these other movies, right? That really did what I thought to be a great job of bringing the world of World of Warcraft to the big screen. And one of the reasons I back this up as well is because I actually went to go see this with my mom, who just from the
Oh,
trailers was super interested in this. And it sparked this whole dialogue about what World of Warcraft is and what the game's
yeah.
like. And so naturally, I had to go make a free trial and try it for a couple days so I could get back to her about it. And it's not bad. Like, it's not a bad film. I think if you watch it, and to be honest, so on Rotten Tomatoes, it got 28%. But for video game films, that's not that bad,
That's
especially
top
on
10.
Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, that's top 10. Yeah.
So I thought this film was actually pretty good. I'm curious to see if any of you guys have watched this. Call me crazy. Tell me you agree. I want to know what you guys think about our picks this week.
I've only talked to people that have watched it, and they've all hated it. So I'm fascinated that you like. That's good that you liked it. I like hearing that other opinion. But yeah, let us know, chat, what you think. And
I do have one honorable mention here that I almost wanted to talk about, but it kind of breaks the rules, and that was Ready Player One. Man,
Yep.
you want to talk about pop culture and like every video
Yep.
game imaginable in a film and like
Yep.
looking cool and cool moments. Ready Player One was awesome, but it's not strictly kind of what we're going for here, like a game turned into a film. It's kind of just a
True.
culmination
True.
of everything. So
Yeah. I like that pick though, for sure. It was very good. The book was great. Highly recommend if you like either platforms. Go check it out. One of my guilty pleasures is the Resident Evil series. Like
oh yeah,
all of them, love them. And just like you said, with you watched Warcraft with your mom. Well, I watched these Resident Evil series with my mom. I still remember there's a scene in this Resident Evil movie where he had to avoid the lasers, right? And it's like
oh
straight
yeah,
out of what you'd think would happen in a video game, right? And then eventually at the very end, it's just all, it's like, hey, why didn't you send this one the first time? It's just all lasers, right? And you think they save him right at the last second, and then he just falls into little tiny pieces. It's still a scene that I remember to this day, and those movies came out,
a while
20
ago.
years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
watched this with my mom too, actually. So very
Nice,
popular.
nice.
A lot of mom
Yeah.
movie viewing going on. I don't know. So let us know in the comments what you guys think. What are some awful gaming movies or shows that you've seen, and what are some of the best? Because if you don't think it's Warcraft, then apparently I disagree with you. So
We got to throw out another good one. Detective Pikachu was very
it was
good.
great. Yeah,
Yep.
loved it. Fun time for all.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yes.
One last one then too on the topic of controversy. Assassin's Creed. A lot of people hated it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm easy to please. I sat down for it, and as someone who's played like 4 or 5 Assassin's Creed games, I had a good time. But I understand
Interesting.
where they're coming from because there were so many differences, so many things that I just saw, and I was like, okay, I guess. But yeah, that one had to make the list somewhere, good or bad.
Did they do the full thing like he was going into another ancestor's body?
Kinda, it's hard to explain. I mean, with a film
Yeah.
adaptation, because they had to fit so much in, I think most of the outlet, like the uproar from the community, was how rushed the plot line felt and the character development felt from what we see in the
Yeah.
games. They kind of had to throw everything at us, and they had to tweak a lot of facts from the games to make it make sense in a film format, and people were just not happy about that. So
Yeah. Yep. Another topic we should do is comic book to video game interpretations, like
Yeah.
best games from game. Anyway, yes. Assassin's Creed. I might have to check that one out. That one still might be fun today.
yeah, I think it's worth a watch for sure, and then you can
Yeah.
make up your own decision on whether it's
I
garbage.
I
or
guess.
not. All right, guys. Well,
Yeah,
as
yeah.
always, let us know. So we mentioned this in the beginning of the episode that tonight was the season 1 finale of the podcast, and what an amazing journey this has been for both Ryan and I. We've loved bringing you guys this content week to week. We've dedicated a lot of time into learning how to make this show happen, and we've certainly had so much fun with you guys being here in the live show on YouTube, listening on Spotify and all your other podcast platforms. And I just wanted to say thank you, because without your guys' participation, we wouldn't have that much. I mean, we'd still have fun because me and Ryan, like, we love talking about
Yes.
stuff, but we wouldn't have the same experience, and we certainly wouldn't have the same motivation to continue delivering this experience. And we look forward to doing just that. So don't be afraid. Don't be worried. That's right. We're gonna every intention right now is to come back with season 2, and we're not going anywhere. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
Similarly, I did want to throw out, we are going to be taking a break between the seasons, though. So I don't want you guys to think like, oh, well, they're never coming back. There's several reasons for this. One of them, the major ones, is my wife and I are going to be moving into a new house soon. So we need some time to kind of adjust to that whole endeavor. We're very excited.
Yeah. Exciting.
But we also want to take some time to kind of look back at the podcast and think of new and exciting things that we want to do for season 2 to make it even better. And really, I think it's going to be awesome. It's something you guys really enjoy. So season 2 is going to be coming back sometime in July. So mark your calendars. Don't go anywhere. Be with us. And if that seems like an eternity for you guys to spend, away from your favorite content, don't worry, because Ryan actually has something that he wants to announce to you all that I think you'll be very happy about.
Yeah. So I knew we can't just piss off until July, right? So
Yeah.
I've wanted to do a solo pod. I've kind of mentioned it in and out of streams a few times. So I'm going to take the chance, and we're going to do Ryan rants for a few weeks. And I have a few episodes down. I'm unsure of if I'm going to do a live show or if it's just going to be pre-recorded. But if you have any feelings on that, if you really would like to be part of that live show kind of thing, definitely let me know. One of the ideas, early ideas that I have, is I want to dive into these major games that have these big old storylines, right? I'm going to dive into where these storylines came from. One of the first games that I'm going to be talking about is Horizon Zero Dawn, and how the story in that game is actually a really old story from, really old times. And I'm going to kind of talk about the similarities and how they take different stories and kind of mix them together to make it, a newish story, right? So it's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you'll check it out with us. They're going to be a little bit shorter because it's just going to be me for the most part talking, probably not quite in this voice, but and then I'm hoping to do a few bits as well, in and out. So please check us out. That'll be on YouTube. That'll be everywhere where it is now. So Be on the lookout for that. I'm hoping to start that a week from today, next Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. So even though this is our finale for season 1 of the pod, you guys will have a new series with Ryan, and it's going to be absolutely great. We've been talking offline about it. I'm super excited to see the direction he takes with it, and you guys can expect that on, as early as next week. And it hopefully will hold you guys over and build some more excitement to just and help support us with our creative endeavors. I know that I'm thankful for this opportunity. Ryan, I'm sure, super excited to be doing this new show as well. So
for sure, yes, it's gonna be a good time.
Yep.
All right, I think that's all my voice has. I think it's gonna drop out any second here.
Yep.
So please spread that peace and love. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Ben, and we'll catch you on the next season of the Always Gametime Podcast.